On. Good morning, caller Nora. I see your hand is raised. Are you wanting to offer general public comment or multiple item agenda comment today?
General public comment.
Thank you. Caller Audit LA, are you offering general public comment or multiple item agenda comment today?
Good morning. As always, I will be offering both.
I'm sorry, that was both, right?
Yes, public comment and multiple.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Caller Jill, are you offering general public comment or multiple agenda item comment today?
General public comment.
Thank you. Caller Yvonne, are you offering general public comment or multiple agenda item comment today?
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Yeah, there. General and multiple, please.
Thank you. And which items are you going to be speaking on for multiple?
Okay, that would be. Let's see.
You can also say all items.
It's the Warner, the theater number 4, 5, and 7.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Caller Miriam, are you offering general public comment or multiple agenda item comment today?
We will be offering general public comment. Thank you.
Thank you. Caller Nisa, are you offering general public comment or multiple agenda item comment today? Nisa, I see you're unmuted, but I can't hear you. I'm going to come back to you.
I have a question. The department responsible.
Caller Nisa, I'm going to ask again, were you offering general public comment or multiple agenda item comment today?
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Okay, I'm going to offer general public hearing, general public.
Thank you. Caller Agitator number 2, are you offering general public comment or multiple agenda item comment today?
Good morning. Public comment, please.
Are you going to be commenting on general public comment or on specific agenda items?
Just general, thank you.
Thank you. Just that one. Caller Gigi's phone, are you going to be offering general public comment or multiple agenda item comment today?
I would like to do a public comment in general public comment.
Thank you.
morning, everyone, and welcome to the Board of Public Works meeting for Friday, February 14th. Ms. Matheson, if you'd like to take roll and establish quorum for us, please.
Good morning, President Corsand and board members. I am Elise Mattson, Executive Officer with the Board of Public Works, taking roll in establishing quorum. President Corsand, Vice President Chavez, President Pro Tem Grant, Commissioner Kang, and Commissioner Mitchell are all present, and we have a quorum. We're also joined by City Attorney Representative Daryl Field, and again, myself, Elise Mattson, Executive Officer. President Corsand, we have one general public comment card for in-person public comment, one multiple agenda item comment card in person, 8 speakers on the Zoom platform for general, 2 speakers on the Zoom platform for multiple agenda item comment, no comments for single items, and no neighborhood council commentary.
All right, thank you. Before we begin the public comment portion, colleagues, for your review, I will be asking after general public comment to put items 1, 3, and 6 on consent. So please take a chance to review those items before we motion to put them on consent. And with that, we'll start general public comment, which is an opportunity for the public to address the board on public interest items, and we've provided up to 1 minute per person for a cumulative total of 10 minutes for the general public comment segment of each regular meeting. Testimony shall be limited in content to matters which are within the subject matter jurisdiction of the board, and the board may not take any action on matters discussed during the public comment period. And our city attorney, Ms. Field, will be here to ensure you stay on topic and within your time frame. We'll start with the one public comment card for in-person, Ron Harbert Twilla.
Can you clarify if the officer informed me I'm speaking 3 agenda plus general altogether? That's what she informed me.
You're just doing general public comment now for 1 minute, and then after general public comment period, we'll open it up for the multiple agenda item.
Okay, so
comment.
it's separate, so it's not
Yes.
together. Okay, general only. Okay, I'm here to speak related to the street services, which is related to one of those items. I really want to see some public works in some real works on the street, because many times when I take the bus, drive by on the street, either people living on the street, either there are so many trash on the street, either there are so many feces, urines on the street. And then the problem is that I go through the same route on a weekly basis, and then I do not see any changes for the past 4 or 5 years since I arrived in the United States illegally. But I really want to make sure that we have a huge department, Public of Works. We have huge personnel, but how is that possible that after 10 years, the streets are still very, very dirty and disgusting? That's my general public comment.
And with that, we'll move on to the virtual hands for public comment.
Caller Nora, you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Thank you. My general public comment is in regards to Scientology and all of its associated entities in Los Angeles and the county thereof. Number one, I want to know if the board, mayor's office, and police will pledge to stop accepting funds from them in the form of Police Activity League, other charities associated with the city, which continues to legitimize their crimes. Number two, the Trump administration has mandated that Homeland Security will be deputizing local police forces as part of their ICE sweeps. And I'm wondering if LAPD, even though they're closely associated with Scientology, will be using that power to go into those churches to round up the people who are here on expired R1 visas working in every single one of Scientology's commercially owned buildings as part of those sweeps as well.
Thank you. That's time. Caller Audit LA, you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Thank you. And I appreciate Nora calling in. She's one of many, and I mean many, former victims who are abused in so many different ways. It's not my story to tell, so I won't tell it. But the egregious things that she has been through at the blue building, where all these, we come here about the planters and we don't want the street vacated. Well, the reason why we don't want the street vacated is because they don't want eyes on the horrific human atrocities that are going on behind those blue walls. And if you don't believe that that is going on, I would ask you to watch Nora's channel, Oh No Nora, and other survivors' channels like Laura FM, LARA FM, and literally search. These are people who grew up in it, who are horribly abused, and there's so many more. They may not all be public, coming out having channels, but they are trying
Thank
to
you.
get a
That's
voice.
time.
Thank you.
Caller Jill, you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Okay, I'm going to still say why the planter's still there. I see CPRA requests with emails going around complaining about us people that are calling about the planters, asking you that you remove them, that so people can see what's going on within the walls. Are you going to be like the people like that didn't believe that Jeffrey Dahmer, who's like the killer, that when the police saw the man escaping him and asking for help, the police didn't help them, and you're going to be like those people, not helping the people that are behind the walls of that building? But though there have been cries for help, that the reason why that we want those planters removed is so that we can see and expose the atrocities that you are blind to. What side of history are you guys going to be on? The side of the people that let that child go back to Jeffrey Dahmer, and we know what the fate of that person was. Bye.
Thank you. Caller Yvonne, you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Thank you. I want to offer a caution, a concern, and a request. This is not a protest. I want you to assure me that you have advised your employees and yourselves, of course, about the dangers of the purification, detoxification process, most likely to be offered this weekend to the first responders. And I'd also like to be assured that if they do take that treatment, that their disability that ensues is not going to be costing the citizens of LA. In addition, that they need to file a 700 form for their financial disclosure of the gift that they receive. I also want to say that not all comments in your minutes should be recorded as protests. Thank you.
Thank you. That's time. Caller Miriam, you have 1 minute. Go ahead. Caller Miriam.
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Thanks to the CPRA request regarding Scientology matters, like the sidewalk blocking baby caskets, we now see the lies and the misinformation the cult is trying to feed the Bureau of Street Services, just to avoid following the rules set for all. I want to highlight something I found shocking. Audit LA. The lovely lady in an electric wheelchair you have personally met multiple times, the one who is working tirelessly at the City Hall for disabled rights and victims of Scientology, is being labeled the main agitator, I'm sorry I'm laughing, of Scientology, simply for raising concerns about ADA violations on L. Ron Hubbard Way and abuse within the cult. It's time to call their bullshit and enforce the rules. Happy Valentine's Day.
Thank you. Caller Nisa, you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Can you hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. They still didn't move those planters. I see it every activity on that street on YouTube, and like every other person in America, in the world. Now, other than those planters not being moved, there are people in those buildings that are slave labor. Did the speech I gave you about Abraham Lincoln's Emancipation Proclamation freeing those slaves mean anything to you? I mean, come on, people. You can easily send trucks to those streets and have them removed. And just because people are protesting doesn't mean they need to be arrested. The only people that need to be arrested is David Miscavige.
Thank you, that's time. Caller agitator number 2, you have 1 minute. Go ahead. Agitator number 2, you have 1 minute. Sorry about that, agitator number
There we
2. You can go ahead now.
Thank you. I was looking for the darn button. Hello, board. It's me again, Mona. Scenario. There is a car blocking a fire hydrant. It is your purview to cite, warn, fine, but also to remove the hazard for safety reasons by towing it away. The planners are your responsibility under Title II of the ADA. To remove the easement is your responsibility. So you can give Scientology orders, make them pay a fine, and have a hearing, but ultimately under Title II, it is your problem. It would take less time than the time of this comment to make it happen. You could call the Bureau of Sanitation and tell them to remove the damn planners. Done, finished, bill back the cult, and then double dip by getting a credit for the Willits decision. Thank you. I yield back my time.
Thank you. Caller Gigi's phone, you have 1 minute. Go ahead.
You hear me?
Yes, go ahead.
Okay. Why are the planters still there? Why are the planters still there after all this time? Why were they given citations several months ago? And yet the planters are still there. Why did this go to a hearing and there was something about an appeal and then that's not happening, yet the planters are still there? Why are those planters still there? Several frickin' months we've been coming here complaining about them. You guys do nothing to get them gone. Remove the planters. It's very simple. It should have been done several months ago. Remove the planters today.
Thank you. President Corsand, we have 1 additional hand raised. Are you all right if I check to see if they'd like to make a comment?
Yes, please.
Caller Juju, are you wishing to offer general public comment or multiple agenda item comment today?
General public comment, please.
You have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Yes, I'm here to correct some verbiage that Scientology likes to use. Protesters, agitators, anti-religious, bigots, things like that. We are not any of those, really. We are, some of us are protesters, but it's not a group organized protest. We are people individually here to make the community and the council and the police aware of the crimes that are going on in that building. A protester who was taking a nap in his car was swatted the other day right on the corner of L. Ron Hubbard Way. The planners, there was so many police around, the police could barely get planners. There were like 10 police officers. and the protester in handcuffs, and it was a fake call by Scientology. They said he had a gun. He could have been murdered or slaughtered right there in the middle of the street.
Thank you.
These
That's
people
time.
are-
President Corson, that's it for our hand raised for general public comment.
Thank you, Ms. Mattson. With that, we'll close the general public comment portion of today's meeting and move on to multiple agenda items public comment. The board will provide an opportunity for members of the public wishing to speak on more than one agenda item during multiple agenda item comment for up to 1 minute per item, up to a total of 3 minutes per meeting. This is the only time to speak on more than one agenda item. And we'll start with the in-person card for Ron Harbert Twilla for items 2, 8, and 4.
I will start with item number 2. This is a very dynamic agenda item. It's about the Metro bus. I'm assuming that all of our commissioner right here, you guys never take the bus. So that's the reason why you guys never understand the issue. Whenever the bus is traveling on the Figueroa, there were a lot of illegal food vendors. They are blocking the bus stop. Instead of for the street, for the bus to stop there and picking up the people, let's just say a taco truck, a food truck, whatever, they block it. So it making impossible to continue the Metro bus services. Continue on item number 4. Again, this is a very, very wrong Harvard Dianetic agenda item because this is about sanitation. I'm not really sure how many of our commissioners are watching the news. If you do watch the news, you will see KTLA, the residents are complaining we have illegal trash dumpster in our neighborhood. We call the public works. We submit a service request. After 1 year, the illegal trash dumpster still there. Why? I mean, this is a very dynamic board. Continue on number 8. This is very interesting. The street services, very, very dynamic street services. The reason why is I spoke with the supervisor Zenu. The supervisor Zenu told me that, they cannot do anything about the people living on the street. They cannot do anything about people urinating on the street. They cannot do anything regarding the people, poop on the street. They said, there are legal requirement and does not allow them to do their job. Therefore, when the Olympic is coming, I want to make sure all of our commissioners understand, when the Olympic is coming, the whole world will see under our dynamic public work, everybody can just use the street as a public toilet. And then this is considered as okay by our dynamic board. I spoke with our supervisor, Twyla, supervisor Zenu, supervisor Harbor on the numerous occasions. How can we clean up the street? Because what I want is nothing more. The supervisor, Twyla said, I'm asking for too much. But the only thing I'm asking to walk on the street with safety, to walk on the street without smelling urine, without smelling feces, to walk on the street without being attacked by homeless. But again, our dynamic board of public works believe I'm asking for too much, but I think I'm only asking for the very basic minimum requirement for safety in the city of LA.
Thank you, Ms. Mattson. We can move on to the virtual platform, please.
Yes, thank you. Audit LA, you have 3 minutes. You can go ahead.
Thank you. Okay, let's start off with the sanitation. L. Ron Hubbard is correct. You can make a report a year earlier, and then it's still, like me and a bunch of us, okay, with these planners. Why can't sanitation do it quicker? Is it that you guys are going to remove, that the sanitation is going to remove these planters?
Caller,
but
can
it's
you
just like we're
identify
in
which
queue?
item you're speaking on, please?
Oh, I'm off topic. All right, let's go to the median. I want you guys to do the medians, but and see how I can admit when I'm off topic, because I know when I'm off topic. But anyway, let's go to the medians. how can we trust you guys to take care of these medians? You're going to give these contracts out. You're just going to, you're going to approve everything. But then what's going to happen is that Twyla and Xenu and, and Janet Wieland are going to want to decorate that median, okay, let's say, with illegal planters. Are you going to do anything to fix it? No, you're not. So that's why I don't agree with, yes, these projects need to be done, but they need to be monitored afterwards. The public needs to know that we can be assured that if there's any violations to the medians or to, public easements, that you will take action in spite of being afraid of Janet Wieland and Jennifer Krofkoff and Kendrick Moxon. I get they are scary individuals. I mean, I'm their number one agitator. They say, whatever. You need to be able to follow up. As far as Hyperion, yes, we don't want stinky water. That is a bad thing. So yes, I agree with that. As far as the theater, I'm concerned. I don't think we need to be building theaters. I think we need to be building houses in Palisades and Altadena. So I would leave the theaters to, corporations that can do it. But I would caution not to let Scientology be a part of it because they have these acting classes that are used to recruit people into their cult. And so I would, and I don't think we should be mixed up in that. As far as the street services and what their update is, I hope there's an update to say that they are taking a stand against the street vacation that Janet Wieland, Jennifer Krofkoff, Parker Osmond are all trying to get. And their new attorney, Bill Delvac, because I guess their lawyer, Kendrick Moxon, has been beaten so badly in court by people with no attorneys that they decided to pay a lot of money for Bill Delvac, who I don't know why his clients, he's not putting them on his client list though, because I can't blame him. I'd be embarrassed to list them as a client too.
Thank you. That's time.
Thank you.
Caller Yvonne, you have 3 minutes. Go ahead.
Thank you. I read ahead of the minutes, and so last meeting's comments were for this meeting, and I apologize for that, getting out of sequence. The headwater control system, the component that is being replaced, should have been replaced in the prior retrofit and restoration project. You replace all parts that are available when it's disassembled the first time. When you repeat it, you're doubling the labor and therefore doubling the cost, and not really extending the life of the system. Please watch out for that in the future. Number 3, the theater. I'm for public theaters. However, I think that this is extremely overpriced, and given the economy and the unsurety of funding that is going to be available through grants from the federal government and so forth, I think it would be wise to just minimize the repairs to the point of being safe and moderately useful. Take out the glamour, but cut this budget significantly. There should also be some kind of information regarding the life or the need for redoing this kind of construction, a $20 million project. What is the life term of that $20 million investment? How will it be amortized and recovered? Number 4, any services that are professional services, those contracts should require 90% of the labor being done in the city. Please do not allow offshoring to India for data calls or health centers or anything like that. You need to bring these jobs home and pay a reasonable price for them. Number 5, the landscaping maintenance. That contract has a 25% over and a 25% under. And the previous contract information does not show that the contract was on target or under budget or significantly changed. That's the information you need to make available for yourselves and to the public so that you can make good decisions. Number 7, the climate emergency plan sounds wonderful to this point. However, it does not
Thank you, that's
deal
time.
with. All right.
President Corson, we have one additional hand raised. Shall I check on, see if they'd like to make comment?
Yes.
Caller Nisa, would you like to offer multiple agenda item comment today?
I'll give a little of it. Now, I've been noticing,
Caller Nisa, which items would you like to speak on?
oh geez. You know what? I don't know. What's item 2?
Item 2
I
is a
was-
request for authority of Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority G-Line Bus Rapid Transit Improvements Project.
Yeah, okay. About that.
You have 1 minute. Go ahead.
Okay. Now, I've noticed too that Scientology has their own bus that they use, and I think people will confuse it if you let them use that bus right along with the other buses. I mean, I would be confused if they would use that bus, and plus they use tents, and they have everybody crammed into one bus. Now you got to look into that. I'll yield back the rest of my time.
Thank you. President Corson, that's the end of our hand raise.
Thank you. With that, we'll close the general public comment multi-agenda item public comment for today's meeting and move on to the approval of the minutes for Wednesday, February 5th. If there is a second to my motion to approve the minutes.
Second. Oh.
Thank you, Ms. Mattson. There is a first from myself and a second from Commissioner Mitchell and Vice President Chavez.
Great. We'll take the roll beginning with you, President Corsand,
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner King.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell. All ayes, the item is adopted.
Thank you. And Commissioners, I will be making a motion to move items 1, 3, and 6 to consent. Is there a second to my motion to take these up on consent?
Second.
Thank you. Seconds are popular today, Ms. Mattson. There's a first from myself and a second from Vice President Chavez and President Pro Tem Grant.
Great. We'll take the roll beginning with you, President Corsand.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner King.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell. All ayes, the motion is adopted.
And now we'll vote on the consent items. If there is a second to my motion to approve the consent items.
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Mattson, there's a first from myself and a second from Vice President Chavez.
Great. We'll take the roll once again beginning with you, President Corsand.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner King.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell. All ayes, the items are adopted and carry forthwith.
Thank you. Moving on to item number 2 in Council Districts 2, 4, and 6. Request for authority, Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transportation Authority G-Line Bus Rapid Transit Improvement Project. And we have here Mr. Anar Madapurka.
Good morning, everyone. Good morning, Board President and Commissioners, City Attorney Representative, Board Executive Officer, my fellow city employees, stakeholders, and public. My name is Anag Mamdapurkar. I'm with the Bureau of Engineering, Metro Transit Division. We are requesting the board to approve the impact areas and the streets of significance to the major transportation and transit construction impact area for the Los Angeles County Metropolitan Transit Authority G-Line Bus Rail Transit Improvement Project. Pursuant to LA Municipal Code 62250, Major Transit and Transportation Construction Impact Area, Traffic Management, aka TCTMZ. The TCTMZ is composed of city staff, comprised of Bureau of Engineering, LADOT, BSS, and Bureau of Contract Administration. The excuse me, my first time back here for a while, so please forgive me. Okay, the traffic impact for construction activities within the designated major transit and transportation construction impact area shall be minimized. Any entity who intends to obtain a permit to perform activities within the public right-of-way within the impact areas and the streets of significance will need to get a worksite traffic control plan approved by the TCTMZ Review Committee. The G-Line Improvement Project is currently in design phase and will go into construction soon. Metro is requesting the TCTMZ to establish the impact area. TCTMZ is requesting to add Impact Area X to assist in the effective improvements of transportation traffic and minimize disturbances to the public traveling within the vicinity of the project. Metro's LADOT and BOE have collaborated into establishing the Impact Area X. The traffic management fees are $283 per traveling per daylight. The traffic management fees is used to defer the cost of the various departments and bureaus involved in the administration and provision of this ordinance. In addition, Impact Area X partially overlaps with Impact Area W, which is the East San Fernando Valley Transit Project. For those projects that are within the Impact Area X and W, applicants will need to coordinate with both Metro Transit projects. As such, there is no fiscal impacts to the general fund. This concludes my report. I'm happy to answer any questions about the report. Thank you.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments on this item? Seeing none, is there a motion? Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you, Ms. Mattson. There is a first from Commissioner Mitchell and a second from President Pro Tem Grant.
Great. We'll take the roll beginning with you, President Corsan.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner King.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell. All ayes, and the item is adopted and carries forthwith.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Moving on to item number 4 in all council districts, request for authority, amendment number 1, task order solicitation S007H for Corolla Engineers. And we have Kyan Doan. Please pronounce your first name for me so I can get it right going forward.
Quinn.
Quinn, thank you.
Thank you. Good morning, commissioners. I'm Quinn Doan with LA Sanitation, and we would like to request authority to issue amendment number 1 to TOS S007 to Corolla Engineers to extend the term of the contract to June 30th, 2026 in order to complete the cost of service analysis and rate determination for the solid resources fee, the extra capacity fee, and the multi-family bulky item fee. These fees have remained the same for the past 16 years, and the current fees no longer provide sufficient funding to pay for solid waste operations, facility maintenance, and debt service costs. The revenue shortfalls have resulted in the solid waste resources revenue fund and the multi-family bulky item fund receiving general fund subsidies in order to maintain current operations. Therefore, it is critical to complete a rate study to ensure that fees are equitable, cover the full cost of service, and provide adequate funding for system improvements and maintenance. This amendment for time extension is necessary to allow the consultant additional time to finalize the solid rate model and cost of service analysis and prepare a final report on the study methodology, findings, and recommendations for a rate adjustment proposal. Additionally, we will need the consultant support for briefings with the CAO's office, the mayor's office, the city council, and also provide support for hearings at the council committees and city council, as well as Prop 218 hearings for implementation of the new rates. Thank you for your time and consideration, and I'm here for any questions.
Thank you, Commissioners. Any questions or comments? It's an extension for 17 months. When do you anticipate the report to be completed?
We're expecting that the consultant will finalize the report this month and come up with their recommendations at the end of this month.
This month. And when would it be available to us as a board to see that report?
After we, I guess, propose the rates, not, but after we meet with the CAO, the city council offices, the mayor, then we'll have that report soon after.
Okay.
So that they can decide on which rate increase scenario they want to go with. So.
Thank you. Commissioners, is any other questions or a motion? Thank you. Is there a second?
Second.
Thank you. Ms. Mattson, there is a first from Commissioner Mitchell and a second from President Pro Tem Grant.
Thank you. We'll take the roll, beginning with you, President Corsand.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner Kang.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell. All ayes. The item is adopted and carries forthwith.
Thank you. Moving on to our last voting item for today, item number 5 from Bureau of Street Services, Bureau of Contract Administration, and Council Districts 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 12. Contract renewal, first year contract renewal option for landscape maintenance of Median Islands, West Valley. And this is Mr. Hector Banuelos.
Yes, good morning, President Corsand and Commissioners. My name is Hector Banuelos, Streets LA Urban Forestry Division. We have before us is a request of the board to allow the city to exercise its first one-year option for the West Valley contract. I would like to state also for the record that I did previously present this item on the 3rd of February, where there were a couple errors detected within the recital on the first and second paragraph, what we referred to as Bay Harbor, but actually this is West Valley. So I just wanted to clarify that. And we did correct the board report, so I'm presenting today. The request will allow the contractor to proceed and continue landscape maintenance of approximately 2.6 million square feet of landscape medians in Council Districts 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and 12. Contract was executed on January 29th. It was awarded to Far East Landscape, who was the responsive lowest bidder, and they're continuing to do the work at an acceptable level. The Contract Bureau Administration has been reviewing the contract, and they are in compliance with all business inclusion program and their mandatory subcontracting mandatory minimum. So the Streets LA is asking that the board approve this request to allow the to exercise the first year option so that landscape maintenance can proceed. That concludes the presentation. Oh, I just want to say also that there is administrative item number 6 that is relative to the item that we previously presented on the 3rd of February. So we're going to withdraw that request so that we can then approve this request for the record.
Great. Thank you, Commissioners. Any questions or comments? Is there a motion? Thank you. Is there a second?
I'll second.
Thank you, Ms. Mattson. There is a first from Commissioner Mitchell and a second from Commissioner King.
Thank you. We'll take the roll, beginning with you, President Corsand.
Aye.
Vice President Chavez.
Aye.
President Pro Tem Grant.
Aye.
Commissioner King.
Aye.
Commissioner Mitchell. All ayes. The item is adopted and carries forthwith.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Last 2 items, we're going to go a little bit out of order. We're going to take item number 8 first because it will be quicker than item number 7. Status update, major upcoming improvement projects. Mr. Langston Phillips from the Bureau of Street Services.
Good morning, everybody. Good to see you again. I'll make this quick for you. My name is Mr. Phillips for the Street Service, Superintendent of Street Service Renewal Division. So I'm here to make sure we keep an update with our public and the community about our upcoming projects that we have going on. They can reach out to 213-847-3200. if they have any questions. But currently, right now, we have no major street improvements in the valley or the metro region through 216 through 222. But starting on Monday for the 16th, though, we have the metro and the valley regions. We have 14 projects that's going to result in the completion of 9.38 lane miles. So we did release all our notifications, and we did reach out with all the council districts involved to make sure that all the stakeholders are aware of the projects coming up. We did reach out with LADOT to help out with traffic delineation if we need it. So all this information can be reached at our Streets LA website, hitting on the resurfacing open projects icon to get any more information. This concludes my report.
Thank you, Mr. Phillips. Commissioners, any questions or comments? Seeing none, thank you for the report.
Happy Valentine's Day.
Happy Valentine's Day. Moving on to back to item number 7, an oral report from the Climate Emergency Mobilization Office.
Good morning, everyone. President Corsan, commissioners of the Board of Public Works, thank you for having us here today. Amy will pass out some of the materials we use in our heat campaign, but that aside, I wanted to start off by letting you know that today we're going to go over some of our goals, our priority programs and policies. Some of you haven't heard any of this before, so it's basically an overview of most of the things that CMO is mandated and directed to do within the context of the city code and the city of Los Angeles. Our mission is to drive the co-creation of equitable climate and extreme heat solutions for a resilient, thriving, healthy city of Los Angeles. And CMO's approach has been one of community engagement and has been integral to our policy recommendations to the city of LA, like our equitable building decarb report and other subsequent reports that we've submitted. And what we do there is basically engage the public, engage the city departments, and ensure that there's a conversation that's happening and being heard for these issues that we're prioritizing and addressing. And then that report is given to our commission, to the board, and then to the city council. So that's one approach that we have. The other one you may have witnessed this week. Yesterday, we had a webinar, a virtual event on safe and clean air at home and how it relates to climate policy. And we have several of those every fiscal year, in addition to a community assembly, to our heat relief campaign. And those are all different approaches that CMO has to ensure that the community voices from these most impacted areas, and all areas really, are being heard so that we have that voice reflected in the policies that we propose. I'm turning briefly to the updates on programs and policy operations page. So we'll go there next. And we wanted to talk today a little bit about the California Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation and the Extreme Heat and Community Resilience Grant that we received. We're also working on our Heat Action and Resilience Plan and timeline. We're also working on our 4th annual Heat Relief for LA campaign. We'll go over some of the university and nonprofit and private partnerships that we have, the special projects that we have with the city and the mayor's office, including wildfire response, climate hazard and resilience policy areas, and where we are with our Climate Emergency Mobilization Commission and our council file report backs. So that's in terms of program and policy. In terms of operations, we have some metrics to report, and we'll get there soon. So next, Amy. Great. So the first you've heard about a couple of weeks ago that CMO and the Board of Public Works were fortunate enough to be awarded a planning grant from the Governor's Office of Land Use and Climate Innovation. And it is a wonderful opportunity that we have. And in a couple of weeks, we've agendized a request to receive your support in helping to move this issue forward. But I think what this unique opportunity provides the city of LA, and this is what we heard from the governor's office as well, is that we will be a blueprint for the rest of the region, perhaps the rest of the state. We will be the first city in California to have a heat action plan, and they want the city, myself and my team and others who are working on this in the mayor's climate cabinet, to be the ones to show other cities the benefits of having this kind of heat action and resilience plan to ensure that we're not just mitigating and adapting to extreme heat, but extreme weather overall. Because I think the climate resilience funding that's available in the climate bond not doesn't just cover extreme heat resilience, but covers a slew of other public infrastructure projects to make LA much more resilient to wildfires, to extreme weather, and to climate change as a whole. So that's one significant project. Then I want to move on to the heat action framework. So fortunately, we're at a point where we're reviewing the heat action framework or draft with the climate cabinet, the various departments, having meetings with those departments and the climate cabinet to establish goals for those departments that will eventually go into the final heat action plan. But we also wanted to align with the future mayor's climate action plan, the local hazard mitigation plan, the safety element, LA's Green New Deal, the biodiversity plan, the health element. So in other words, in order for this plan to be implementable and not duplicate too many efforts, we're trying to create as much alignment as possible with pre-existing plans, and also create a system of tracking progress, which I'll get into the next slide. You can see for yourself on this slide that there is a timeline, but I'm just letting you know that that may be modified based on the time we finalize the grant agreement and get all the approvals from the city of Los Angeles. Next. So this one, for the audience that can't see, are the 5 tracks for our heat action and resilience plan. The first track is to create a citywide extreme heat public awareness campaign. The second track is to strengthen heat response and community resilience. The third track is to increase heat resilience of our built environment and transportation systems. The fourth track is increase nature-based solutions such as tree canopy, more open space, and more green and stormwater infrastructure. And the last track is on how we as a city create a platform for tracking and monitoring the progress of all of these metrics throughout the city. And one important thing to remind you of is that we basically mirrored the state's extreme heat program. So the state of California's extreme heat program is very similar to our first 4 tracks. We added that 5th track because we did some research that climate action plans as a whole were not being implemented because there was no overall long-term tracking strategy at the cities that have accepted them. And this is not just California, this is across the nation, right? So they needed a better governance structure. They needed a department that would monitor those progress points in the long run, and they needed a tracking system to ensure that all the departments kind of stayed up to date and were informing the centralized department, whoever that might be, to ensure that progress was being made. So next slide is about our heat relief campaign, and this is our 4th. Fortunately, we've passed out some of the materials here. They're in 15 different languages. We think it's going to be increasingly important with the major events, including the Olympics that are coming. There is an extreme heat general managers and executive group that Metro has created that we have been invited to be a part of. And as you know, former President Krikorian, who is now Executive Director Krikorian, basically initiated the Chief Heat Officer position to address extreme heat in these major types of events. So we're thinking that the heat relief campaign will begin to transition to inform people how to stay safe at these major events. So it's going to be critically important to ensure that our materials are updated to reflect that goal of keeping people safe from heat, because unfortunately, we have a disproportionate amount of injuries and deaths in areas of Los Angeles that have been historically disinvested, that have pre-existing health conditions, that already experience more pollution from vehicular traffic and perhaps refineries than other areas. So we want to make sure that all of that is taken into consideration as we build this awareness and we build campaigns such as this. And that's why we have them in multiple languages. Next. So this is an example of some of the materials that we have on our public, for our public service announcements. They go on our bus shelters throughout the city, and we really want to thank the board and the Bureau of Street Services for their support. And they've been really successful, and maybe the next slide will show you how the public has interacted with some of our public service announcements. And we get pictures all the time from the public sending us their gratitude for having these public service announcements, particularly during heat season. Next. Briefly, I'll go over some of our current and potential CBO and university partnerships. In order to leverage resources in the city of Los Angeles, it's always important to work with our university partnerships. And we've worked extensively with USC, with UCLA, but also with nonprofits such as SICA, the Southeast Asian Community Alliance, Visión y Compromiso, Slate Z, the LA Neighborhood Council Sustainability Alliance, Black Women for Wellness, and so many others that you have here listed, and some of which were involved in the formation of the Climate Emergency Mobilization Office. An important achievement that we did together that we're still working on together is equitable building decarbonization, because as you know, the City Council passed legislation to ensure that new buildings were decarbonized. And it's actually in the DBS report clear that a new building, when it starts off with a decarbonized infrastructure, is either equal to or less expensive than a building that has these gas lines. So at this point, what the community really wants to convey is that existing buildings are a much tougher cookie to crack because it requires multiple sources of financing. But it's incredibly important to them at the same time, because that's where community members experience more pre-existing health conditions. So gas stoves and other forms of emissions in the home are more impactful in a negative to their health than in other communities. So we definitely want to make sure that this is something that we continue to address with the city. And then, as most of you know, this year for the urban wildfire response, I was assigned to the EOC for a few days, and I continue to work with them on the air purifier distribution. There was a donation of 60,000 air purifiers. We're working together with the board, with the mayor's office, and the members of the EOC to ensure that we have a distribution strategy through the Office of Community Beautification's warehouse, where departments can go pick up their air purifiers, or where nonprofits who only want a few can go pick up their air purifiers. And then we have one of our staff members was nominated to be on the disaster service worker list. We still haven't been actually called in, but we're ready to stand and support when that may be necessary. And we created a wildfire public health resource guide that's on the link that I hope will be emailed to you as well. I know you have the hard copies there. Next. So the next page shows you the climate hazard and resilience policy areas that we currently work on. We've talked about a few of them. The Heat Action Resilience Plan being a citywide heat action resilience plan. The cooling resilience centers and heat risk mapping, we've been working on that for a couple of years. Our goal is to expand the number of cooling centers throughout the city of Los Angeles and better supply and train our public libraries to be those climate centers, cooling centers, resilience centers. And we've been working with LASA and the mayor's office as well to provide resources and information on when these libraries are available to them. So it's an important goal as well for our heat action and resilience plan. The heat risk map I alluded to a little bit. I can send you all a copy through Elise, but basically a study was done by the UCLA School of Public Health demonstrating the overlap between areas with housing burden, exposure to air pollution burden, and pre-existing health conditions are most impacted by extreme heat. And those are the individuals that mostly end up in the hospital or with premature mortality. And that's kind of what accelerated the importance of ensuring that this office brought that to light and did its work. Already mentioned equitable building decarbonization, how we prioritize heat risk vulnerable communities across the city of Los Angeles. We want to convey how air quality as it relates to urban wildfires and local sources is important for the public health and of the citizens of Los Angeles. We also create fact sheets for climate hazards overall, but we have a specific goal of creating fact sheets for the climate vulnerability assessment in partnership with the mayor's office and with the Department of City Planning. But these materials will go out to all Angelenos. We also manage and execute a 17 member board of the Climate Emergency Mobilization Commission. And we are very passionate about aligning our educational materials with LA's major events and Olympics. Next. Basically, the next page is about our Climate Emergency Mobilization Commission, which you've probably heard a lot of, so I can just have individual discussions with you all to give you more information on our commission. But basically, it's mandated as a 19-member commission. Right now, I think we have 16, 17 members, and we'll be meeting again in when is our next meeting? I think it's going to be in March, so that's when our next meeting is scheduled. Also wanted to point out in our next slide that we do a lot of council file report backs. Right now, our deputy heat officer is working on one on artificial synthetic turf in coordination with the CLA, with RAP, with LA San, and others that are also called in the council file to advise on how the city should proceed with ensuring that synthetic turf isn't impacting the health of the children and athletes that use our synthetic turf, and how we move forward in a feasible way. So there's a few other examples on here that I won't go over, but these are kind of piling up, and we're happy to help because this is another way that we can ensure that the policies that we pass are equitable climate policies that improve the life and health of most of us in the city of LA. And the next one, next slide is the picture of our entire CMO team. Gordon Haynes, our deputy heat officer, is here today. He's an environmental affairs officer. Amy Clark, she is our deputy director of operations and a senior management analyst. Not here today are Rebecca Guerrade, our management analyst for community engagement, and Christine Lee, our management analyst for policy and research. And right now, our community executive assistant is vacant. But we work really closely together, on most of these projects. It takes a whole village to work on these projects. For example, the webinar that we had yesterday, it really did take everybody to work on that webinar. The next slide is on our community outreach and engagement. This one has how many people attended our community meetings, how many co-hosted panels and events we either coordinated or co-hosted, how many articles, how many prints we distributed, how many newsletters we distributed. So these are all various methods of communication. And we've been asked in the past by other commissioners to track this level of metrics. And we're working on it. And I think it's improved since the last time we reported on it. And the next slide is on additional metrics of materials distribution, but I won't go over every year and every distribution of material to make things a little bit shorter. But suffice it to say that we work a lot with community artists, our graphic artists, our newsletters and other methods of communication to ensure the community is informed on the things that we're doing here, not just at SEMA, but at the city. And then the last, almost the second to the last item is our SEMA budget. We all know that we're in a difficult budget situation, but I did want to explain to the commissioners that when we first were initiated, we had a $500,000 a year budget. This year, we don't have a budget, but we hope to be able to convey to Elise, the executive officer, and to the commissioners the bare bones budget that we will need in future years if we want to keep up our role in climate mobilization and community engagement and building public awareness over climate hazards, particularly for the major events. And just my staff attending these meetings with other agencies and other departments to ensure that there's a good flow of communication between us and the community, and what we're doing is in alignment with the other city is really important. And with that, I yield, and I'm here for questions.
Thank you. Commissioners, any questions or comments? President Pro Tem Grant.
Thank you, Martha. A couple questions. One is just sort of out of curiosity, if you could explain how your department's moving around the charlas, the community educators, what model you've set up around that?
Sure. Well, we work with various CBOs like Scope LA, Physicians for Social Responsibility, Esperanza Community Housing, Visión y Compromiso, Black Women for Wellness, and they have their own community health educators.
Okay.
And we relay to them the information that we have, and then they relay that through their own community health educators. But that also typically requires a budget, right? Because they can't just work for free. So in the past, when we had a budget, we would give them something minimal, but we would give them a budget to ensure that they had the resources to distribute the materials that we provided to them. And then we provide them digital materials that which they freely put on their social media, on their newsletters, etc. But yes, that's the model that we use.
And then the second area that I don't see here, maybe you can help me through this, is around outreach to businesses, and within that obviously are the employees, which in looking in terms of partnership, I don't necessarily see anything with UCLA Labor Center, County Fed, or anything else in terms of, as we know, workers who work in either outside or in warehouses. And my grandfather died in a sweatshop. So I know what that means if you don't have an air-conditioned building, as you know. And is there any outreach in this area or any partnerships contemplated, or are we going to sort of cede everything to Cal OSHA?
As I understand it, because we don't have jurisdiction over workers and employees for private businesses, we don't have a specific project for that, but we do relay the information to the UCLA Labor Center and the UCLA Labor Center and other labor organizations. So they have been part of our coalition of organizations that gets the information. But it's a difficult nut to crack since we don't have jurisdiction over workers. But I think we can have better communications,
Are there informal communications, or is it sort of standardized? You're setting up like on a regular basis, you send stuff to UCLA Labor Center or the County Fed, or how is that communication vended?
Well, when we have specific projects like this Heat Action Resilience Plan,
Right.
they'll be invited to be part of our community advisory board. When we had the Equitable Building Decarb process, we invited them to be part of our community advisory board or our focus groups or our civic engagement and our panels and our webinars, right? So, but UCLA Labor Center is a priority organization for us, but we can include more.
Thank you.
Thank you. Any other questions or comments? No. Okay.
Okay.
Thank you.
Great. I hope that was helpful. Thank you.
All right. Ms. Matson, have we cleared our desk for today?
Yes, that's the end of today's agenda items.
Great. Monday is a holiday, so we will not be having a meeting. We will convene again next Wednesday, February 19th, and it is 11:04, and we are adjourned. Thank you.